Do we have that up? The Sanders page? Because we have to get to the shout out. Shout out, shout out, shout out.
My brain is still in recovery mode.
Shout out, shout out, shout out.
My brain is still in recovery mode.
Shout out, shout out.
From taking in so many high-level important ideas. Shout out, shout out. From taking in so many high-level important ideas. The dial of ideas. I like talking about ideas. High level. The exchange of ideas.
Shout out, shout out.
High level. Still in recovery mode.
Looking forward to sharing more ideas.
Shout out, shout out. All right, yeah, we can just open that. I've heard from, apparently I think I heard somewhere that doing things like making fun of Dave Rubin from an extremely rational source is actually like a psychopathic thing to do. So it's interesting.
It's like laughing at a mathematician doing math.
It's like laughing at a mathematician doing math. And apparently it's in contrast to doing things like writing an essay called In Defense of Torture, which is not sociopathic. So in other words, if we were to TikTok it, it would be doing things like making fun of Dave Rubin, sociopathic. Doing things like writing a column called In Defense of Torture, not. All right. Well, I guess you heard it here.
It's good to have your bearings.
It's good to have your bearings. It's good to think rationally. And it's good to keep a degree of emotional control over yourself. But with that being said, it's good to not be hysterical. But that being said, let's get to tonight's shout out. You know, Bernie Sanders is usually in the shout out slot for this show because, again, this is an incredibly important election and we need to not fuck around and do everything we can to elect him because a lot's riding on it. But also because he keeps delivering. After assembling a strategy and a movement, he just crossed 4 million individual donors, and another piece of reporting came out that more active service members have contributed to Sanders than any other candidate, I believe, including Trump. Bernie Sanders has been putting forward a clarity we'll get to in the postgame on Bolivia as an example. Incredible plans on the Green New Deal, on rent control and housing rights that we've talked about, in addition to obviously canceling all student debt and making Medicare for all the center of a national debate, even as so many try to obscure that policy. But I want to talk about something he put on the table about a month ago, which is to use his power to stop prosecuting whistleblowers under the Espionage Act. Now, this is incredibly important. And I agree with people. Look, it's not politically wise for Bernie Sanders to talk about the Assange case specifically. But that being said, there's no doubt that the charges against Julian Assange that have been brought are a fundamental danger and threat to journalism and a free press. That the Edward Snowden not being able to allow to return home after revealing massive NSA abuse and overreach internationally and domestically is a travesty. Chelsea Manning is still being detained and essentially, in my view, I would use the word tortured because of her revelations of U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan and elsewhere. So this is incredibly important on the merits. And I'll quote now a little bit from a Ryan Grimm write-up from October 22nd. Bernie Sanders pledges to end the practice of prosecuting whistleblowers under the Espionage Act. Bernie Sanders would end the practice of using a controversial Espionage Act to prosecute government whistleblowers, the Vermont senator told The Intercept in an interview on Saturday ahead of a major rally in New York. The century-old law has largely gone out of fashion until it was deployed heavily by the Obama administration, which prosecuted 8 people accused of linking to the media under the Espionage Act, more than all previous presidents combined. President Donald Trump is on pace to break Barack Obama's record if he gets a second term. He's prosecuted 8 such whistleblowers, 5 of them using the Espionage Act, according to the Press Freedom Tracker. Asked if it was appropriate to prosecute whistleblowers using the Espionage Act, Sanders said, "Of course not." And I just want to say, this is somebody who voted against the Patriot Act when he was in the House. He's spoken out against, even as an example, there's that, great throwback clip of him on Howard Stern talking about Clear Channel suppressing Howard Stern's speech when he was speaking out against the George W. Bush administration. I think more broadly, this fits into, first of all, a global crackdown on the free press, including inside the Western system, which is incredibly dangerous, the United States and the UK and Australia. But it also reflects more broadly a good civil libertarian streak that Bernie has, and we should all have, and we should all defend. You should not want government surveillance or private corporate surveillance to be the answer to structural and societal problems. We have to have actual answers to those things, not things that empower corrosive and dangerous corporations or obviously massively repressive intelligence and military services. So Bernie is right on the merits, and this is something that we need to push forward to protect the free press and all of our liberties. So shout out Bernie Sanders and his step forward in reform. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.